To begin, we will select one of the user layers in the Layers panel to create the reference curves we need. We will start from the front view to create our lines. To do this, go to the Curve tab and use the Line command. Make sure the Grid Snap option is enabled to facilitate positioning the lines. Now, from the central point, draw a 10mm line to the right along the x-axis. Use 10 squares from the grid as a reference or type 10 in the command bar and click on the right side. Now, right-click to repeat the last command. At 4mm from the center on the x-axis, we will create a diagonal line of 4.5mm. To do this, select the point, type 4.5 in the command bar, and then position the cursor diagonally. Again, from the x-axis, we will create another diagonal line, this time 2.5mm long. Now, click on the Offset command. Make sure the distance is set to 0.6. If not, select the distance option in the command bar and type 0.6, then press Enter. Change the mode to both sides and set Cap to Round. Once all parameters are set, click on one of the lines and press Enter to complete the offset. Repeat this process for the other two lines. Select the curve and click on the Offset command, or right-click. Change the mode to both sides for each line and press Enter. Once we have the offsets, we will select the two diagonal lines along with their offsets. Go to the Transform tab and use the Mirror command to create a reflection of them along the x-axis. Use the center of the axis as a reference, and while holding Shift, click on the right side of the viewport. Now, select all the exterior curves and move them to another layer by clicking on the arrow of the user layer. With these exterior curves selected, go to the Curve tab, select the Boolean Curves command, change Delete Input to All, and then select the All Regions option. Press Enter to confirm the command. Move the result to another layer to differentiate it from the interior lines. Now, select one of the interior lines and then the top point of the line. Adjust the gumball position by right-clicking on the gumball option and changing its orientation to Object. This way, we can reduce the line by -0.1mm to leave more margin with the external curves. Do the same with all the interior lines. Next, select all the curves, go to the Transform tab, and use the Quick Array Polar command. Add the curves to the selection and switch to the top mode. We are almost done with our snowflake. Now, select all the exterior curves and perform another Boolean curves operation. Ensure that the Delete All option is enabled and click on All Regions. Press Enter to complete the Boolean operation. To finish, go to the Perspective view, select the exterior and adjust the gumball position again, aligning it to the C-plane. Extrude the shape using the gumball. Click on the small blue sphere, type -1.4mm in the command bar, and press Enter. Move the solid obtained to the metal layer. Now, we have our snowflake. Next, we will add our gems. To do this, using the user layer as a reference, right-click on the desired color to select the interior lines. Then go to the Diamonds tab and use the On Network command. As we can see, RhinoArtisan automatically positions all our gems, which are 1mm in size, leaving a small margin for the prongs. Accept the command. Now, we will use the Dynamic Prongs command. Select the surface to position them and adjust the prong parameters. Change the diameter to 0.6mm. Adjust the overgirdle to 0.3mm. Set the undergirdle to 0.2mm. Finally, change the extension for manufacturing to 0.5mm. In the Advanced section, select Symmetry along the Y-axis. Now position the prongs. Change the prong diameter according to our needs. We will only add prongs to one arm because we will later create the rest using a polar array. Place the first 0.6mm prongs, ensuring they do not extend too much beyond the gems but still hold them securely. Change the diameter to 0.5mm and continue adding prongs on the outer part of the arm. Place 0.6mm prongs at the tip and return to 0.5mm for the inner part. For smaller spaces, use 0.45 millimeter prongs and 0.4 millimeter prongs for the narrowest areas. Finally, place a false prong in the center to avoid leaving the metal too empty. Once the prongs are positioned, select another metal layer and accept the command so that the prongs are created in the desired layer. Select the prongs and, in the Transform tab, use the Quick Polar Array command to create the rest. Select the top mode, and voila! Our snowflake is complete. Now, in the Diamonds tab, select the Cutter command, choose all the gems, and add them to the selector. Then switch to Preset 4 and accept. Now, we just need to go to the Solid tab and use the boolean difference command. Select the metals, press the command, then select the cutters and press Enter to create the boolean operation. We can now see that our metals are cut and the gems are perfectly positioned. Use this beautiful snowflake to create your own models, and feel free to share your results with us. Here we present a small collection created from this snowflake.